Alright, so I normally don't do this kind of video, but honestly, a straw kind of broke the camel's back, and I just really want to vent, frustrations that have been building with Xbox and Microsoft for a really long time. Remember the good old days, the Xbox 360? Hell, I was even one of the few people that had an original Xbox over a PlayStation 2. And a lot of people jumped ship with the Xbox One, and I feel like they had a pretty good reason to do so. But me, I wouldn't call myself a hardcore console warrior. I'm not there starting fights to defend the brand, but I liked my original Xbox and Xbox 360. I had no issues. Where the initial unveil of the Xbox One and their always online DRM direction was very bad. It was something I definitely, even at the time, was like, hell no. They did backtrack on everything but the Kinect, at least initially. And let's be real, where Microsoft was the first one to say it and maybe the closest to implementing it, Sony and maybe Nintendo were definitely thinking it, if not also planning to implement it until they saw the backlash Microsoft got and was able to backtrack and brilliantly use that whole debacle to their advantage on Sony's end. Even the exclusives, though, I was never super into the exclusives on either one of those sides. But, Halo was a good time. I was generally happy with the series at this point. Hadn't played 4, still hadn't played 4 because I just heard it wasn't that good, but I was willing to give 343 another shot. Hopefully they learned from their mistakes in that. Surely they wouldn't butcher the next entry too, and then the multiplayer for the following entry. I will defend Halo Infinite's campaign, though. I thought it was pretty fun. But hey, when such an important pillar for the series, as in multiplayer, is broken, even if it's not necessarily my thing. Like, I remember another setback with the Xbox One is having to connect a Microsoft account. Like, I didn't even have Xbox Live on my original 360. I just played offline all the time. But still, it's indefensible for such an important part of a game like Halo to have missed the mark so badly. So many times. Actually, at the time I was looking to get a next-gen console, I was playing through Forza Horizon, and it was a really fun game. I was looking forward to the sequel. I thought the series had a lot of potential. Had fun with the next couple games, actually. But then they just kept releasing them biannually without feeling as refreshing as the first few did, and it just got fatiguing. And if some of the missteps they've done with the reboot of Forza Motorsport are anything to go off of, the future of Horizon is very concerning. I hadn't even played Fable or Crackdown at that time and still haven't tried out either series yet. But where the hell was Fable that generation? Hell, where is it still? I know there's one coming soon, but this seemed like a pretty fun franchise, a pretty important one for Xbox for them to, try to get out relatively early, in that Xbox One generation when they needed to get back in people's good graces with some good games. At least, Crackdown got a game. It sucked, but it got a game. Or at least that's what I heard from other people. Like I said, I hadn't played it. And I'm only really planning to play the good ones when I do get to the series. Even Gear is a series that I never was able to get into. I didn't really like it. I heard the new games in that series weren't that good either. And then Rare. Oh, Rare. I wouldn't have been surprised if they continued to butcher their IP like they had throughout the original Xbox and Xbox 360. But at the same time, they hadn't double dipped in any of the series yet. Maybe like Halo, I'll give a second shot. If they did another Banjo or Conquer or Perfect Dark, maybe they learned their lessons, adjusted to, all the changes they've had since being bought out by Microsoft, and they can put out a pretty good one. They put out a pretty decent. Actually, no, they didn't. Someone else developed it, but there was a Killer Instinct game, a rare IP that was pretty solid early on, and then nothing. I mean, there is a Perfect Dark on the way, but I'm not going to hold my breath for it at this point. Rare Replay was kind of a cool collection, but I want a new experience or a noticeably better way to play the game with, graphics, quality of life, maybe a little exclusive content, and some sort of, remake. This isn't the straw that broke the camel's back, but this was something that I did see pop up today too, of course. So yeah, I'm not holding my breath for, them to change up there either with the direction of rare IP. I still bought a Series X or S though, mainly to replace my Xbox One. I had kind of given up on exclusives, but I already, in retrospect, poorly invested in the ecosystem with digital games, and they were doing some cool backwards compatibility stuff. They kind of put it on pause. I think they originally say it was, to make sure everything worked when they released the new console. Still waiting for them to bring that back 4 years later. And then Hi-Fi Rush. This was the game I feel like some Xbox and Microsoft fans were waiting a decade for. Something that's just generally really good, that clicks with a lot of people, myself included. It was a bright spot in a very dark tunnel, and then they shut down the game studio. Thank you, Crafton, for, I think that was the name of the company, who salvaged what they could from Tango and Hi-Fi Rush. And I don't know, obviously this is the biggest slap in the face to Tango and, everyone on that team in that. But also as a fan, it felt like a pretty big slap to the face. And then they shut down the Xbox 360 marketplace, which granted it's not super surprising. Nintendo already did it. Sony was looking to do it, but they backtracked. And hell, you can still get stuff off the PS3 and Vita stores, by the way. So I don't know. I guess Microsoft's a little more in the middle of the road here. Not particularly good, but not particularly bad compared to the competition. And then there's Steam, which I feel like is underrated as sort of a competitor to, the consoles and even Nintendo now that they have the Steam Deck. But I'll admit I've mostly sort of transitioned over to Steam, but honestly, sometimes I just like to kick back, grab a controller, turn on my big TV, as opposed to, a smaller monitor, and play a game. And, I don't think I can necessarily afford to, get another decent computer to be able to do that with Steam. And when I got a Series X, Steam Decks weren't out yet. And Steam is just such a great service too. There, what is it? No questions asked. Less than 2 hours played. 2-week refunds are great. Back in the 360 days, I mean, we didn't really need them. In most cases, I should note. I mean, the games were good. There weren't a lot of, super broken launches or egregious monetization tactics. We were taking steps towards getting there, but it wasn't like over the line yet or anything. So, I mean, yeah, refunds are almost essential now with the way games are. So, fast forward to another situation. So, I was going through the Xbox 360 marketplace before it shut down. Saw this game. Heard it wasn't super great, but reminded me a bit of Bayonetta. And it was made by Cavia, who made the original Nier. So I thought I would give it a fair shot. I saw physical copies, they were already a little more expensive than the digital copy. But, potentially it's going to go up quite a bit. This might be the cheapest way to get it. I should have checked Steam. I didn't realize it was on Steam, and hell, it was even on sale at the time. So I put in for a refund, and it got rejected because I had too many refunds this year. This was the first refund I had requested this year. I did have some refunds within the past 12 months, which is, I guess, what they were saying by a year. But even then, it was just some DLC items that I bought individually that I didn't realize there was a package deal for the Hitman World of Assassination games. Strangely enough, I put in another couple of refunds because I didn't realize the one game was Connect only, and the other, it was like a Devil May Cry. I forget which one exactly, but it was also available on 1/Series S and X, which I already had it on Steam, but I thought it was dirt cheap. Just get another backup copy if I, wanted to play on console instead. But if it's still available anyway, why get it? So, and those refunds got approved the day after Bullet Witch got rejected because I had too many refunds for the year. It made absolutely no sense. So I contacted support, and to their credit, they gave me a refund. Then, a couple weeks ago, I decided to finally get Crash Team Rumble. I know it's mostly an online-centric game, but I looked it up, and it did say there was, some bots you can play with offline. Didn't say anything on the store page. I double-checked even after about needing a subscription to even play the game. Well, you did. Won't even let you pass the start screen without a Game Pass subscription. I'm like, okay, I think it's been past, the 12 months for the Hitman stuff. I know they gave me a hard time earlier, but, some time's passed. I feel like I have a pretty good reason, pretty good argument here, and it gets rejected again. I mean, at this point, I didn't even put in, to, go back and forth with customer support again. I'll probably take one of those $1 2 weeks of Game Pass deals and just play through it real quick, because I did want to check it out. I'm not really sure exactly what it's all about, but it seemed like it could be kind of interesting. I'm a fan of the Crash Bandicoot franchise as well, but that's just feels like such a ripoff, especially when it goes offline and then you may not be able to access it at all anymore, regardless of a Game Pass subscription, unless they sort of, get rid of that requirement and, allow people to at least play with the bots that, allegedly exist from my quick Google search. But that's partially on me, I guess, too, for not doing enough research. But it's just super predatory and scummy. Fast forward to today, and this is the straw that I felt like really broke the camel's back, is I never really had Xbox Live Gold for, too much at all. I may have gotten a deal and had it for, a month here, a month there, that sort of thing. But I saw something online that said that if you don't have a Game Pass subscription, you can't access the free games with gold you got for being subscribed that month. Sort of their rewards program that they, never really advertised as, you lose access to the games if you don't have an active subscription. I don't know if it was always that way. I don't think it was. And I checked, and yeah, sure enough, it wouldn't let me play any of the Xbox One or Series X games with gold I had. Can you imagine if, the Epic Game Store, if they were just at some point where eventually like, you know what, unless you've bought something from our store within the past year, we're not going to let you access any of the games that we gave away for free throughout the past several years. The only reason I feel like a lot of people even have the Epic Game Launcher. Luckily, they hadn't done that with 360 games. Key term, yet. But yeah, now they're taking games out of your digital library. I mean, what the fuck are we doing here? Sony's no saint here. They've had their own share of, controversies and bad moves, but I mean, they're kind of doing some backwards compatibility stuff now with PlayStation Plus. But yikes, I mean, I know it's buried in all the terms of service that no one reads because it's 20 pages long, required for you to do anything with your purchase, and written in legal terms, so it's probably incredibly hard for a normal person to understand. But yeah, I don't know. Next time I need hardware, I mean, honestly, I would plan to just get a new PC, hook up my old one to the TV, or get a Steam Deck. But if, that stuff doesn't, work out quite the way I was looking to, I would get a PlayStation, like, no doubt. And yeah, I have some of the portables, so I can sort of keep up with some of those exclusives to check them out. But like I said, I haven't had a PlayStation home console since the first PlayStation. I've gotten an Xbox for, my third party on the TV stuff. Not even looking that deep into exclusives, especially when most of them hit PC now anyway. But yeah, if you put that aside and you just want something to hook up to your TV, even if Xbox had decent exclusives, I mean, with the way, I feel like I've been treated, and I'm sure there's other stories out there of similar stuff. I mean, just imagine, being subscribed for gold for years and then you just kind of back out for whatever reason and now you can't access those games anymore. That's just horrible and unexcusable, honestly. As if the exclusive situation wasn't bad enough. I mean, there's truly no reason to own an Xbox anymore, in my opinion. I'm not, extreme. I'm not going to go out there and sell my Series X. Like I said, this would be something more that affects my next hardware purchase, which, like I said, I wasn't leaning with Xbox or PlayStation to begin with anyway. But yeah, I thought this was just kind of important to put out there. I don't see a lot of discussion about, just some of the shitty stuff that they've been doing. And I just think it's worth more discussion and, just warning people who are, looking at a PlayStation or an Xbox for whatever reason. Like, I don't know. I just expected to be treated better, like those, refunds I all talked about were my first refunds ever with them. And, after sticking through the hard times, with the Xbox One, like I said, I don't consider myself a console warrior, just, a piece of plastic that are, around the same level and with capability anyway. But yeah, I've been treated like shit, made a poor investment in an ecosystem, and yeah, that's just kind of where we're at now.